Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Maxwell Jurgensen,
I'm Nick Miller.
and today we're going to be talking to you about different types of beer and how to brew beer and different styles and different things like that. Before we get started though, we thought we'd give you a little background about our knowledge in beer and why we decided to choose this as our presentation today. So I started liking craft beer from a very early age. I started drinking it in high school, but yeah, I really liked it a lot then. I still love it now. I've brewed probably 10 or 12 different home brews before with my brother and my dad. I just have a real passion for making beer and having something tangible that you created and drink. Now, Nick, go ahead, tell them about yourself.
So my family's been homebrewing ever since I was a wee lad. And yeah, I just always loved getting involved with it. You know, recently I've been really helping out my father make beer for our household. I'm also currently studying as a brewing minor here at UNC, and I hope to be brewing in the future.
All right, the first beer we're going to be sampling today is Sam Adams Boston Lager. They're usually either brewed with rice or just light barley, usually not roasted barley like you get with a brown ale, which gives it a darker color. But I'm just going to pour this up for Nick and I real quick. And like we said before, you want to hit it with that 45-degree angle, come in real slow. This is a real,
It's a real foamer.
Yeah, this one has a lot of froth to it, so yeah, no, that's
fun.
Yeah. Anyways, go back to the other video if you want to see how to pour it up. But that first one kind of sucks. Here, you want to go slow when you pour it. This is actually how you're supposed to pour it. I kind of messed up the first one. So with this beer, you see how there's a very clear light color to it. That's because the barley's not roasted. It's very light, or whether it's brewed with rice or anything like this. This is a proper pour. This is what you're not supposed to pour your beer
You want
like.
a good head of foam?
You want about an inch of foam on your beer, roughly, with this style of beer typically. And yeah, no, it's a great beer. Definitely try it. Cheers, guys. Hey guys, so the beer we're about to review is this beer here. It's Day Board Lime. It's a lager with lime added to it. So a lager is a style of beer that's very light, crisp, has very little bitterness, usually has little to no hop elements to it as well. It's pretty crushable. It's a very tasty beer. I'm just gonna do a little pour up for Nick and I right now. As you saw from the last video, we're gonna go, and when you pour up a video, especially when you have lagers, beers that have a lot of carbonation, the thing you wanna do is really go like slow with it, because you can already see there's a lot of carbonation that can be forming. So you really wanna make sure when you pour this beer, you kind of give it a gradual pour up. And you can really see the light color in this. I can basically see that they threw lime or some sort of citrus in this.
Definitely use some sort of lime peel.
Yeah, definitely. So in the brewing process, a lot of what they do, there's the mash, there's the wort, there's all this different stuff. But a lot of times there's something called dry hopping, as well as adding extra flavors and ingredients to the final stage of the brewing process. This is the process where you basically add the yeast to your product in a carboy and you let that ferment. But if you want to add more additional flavors, you might throw in lime peel, squeeze a little lime into it, or you can do this with hops, anything from like Centennial, Cascade, Galaxy hops, any sort of hop elements, Eldorado, yeah. You name it, you can add it into that final stage of the brewing process. And interestingly enough, this is a lager, but what Dry Duck did is they didn't dry hop it, which is basically, you know, adding it to the after, but they did it with lime. So you can really see that they have a good color to it here.
When you go to taste it, it's traditionally good to smell your beer. Smell the aroma of the beer before you taste it and really enhance the taste of your beer before you drink it.
Roughly 70 to 80% of your taste comes from your smell. So yeah, that's a huge point there. Whenever you do try these beers, make sure, I always do this, I know Nick does this, before you try it, you always want to give it like a hello, you know, like, how is this beer doing, you know? Like, that's a really good beer.
Very good. You can really taste the lime.
Yeah, definitely. Anyways, cheers, guys. Hey guys, so the next beer we're going to be sampling today is this Face Down Brown Ale brewed from Telluride Brewing Company. This beer is roughly, 4.5% alcohol by volume, not very strong. This beer is also brewed with some darker barley, and what they do, you can already see here that it's a darker beer, and how they do this is they roast the barley beforehand. And honestly, it really doesn't depend too much on the style of beer. You're going to be pouring like this 99% of the time, unless you have a fruited sour. And with fruited sours, that's a completely different type of beer altogether. It's basically like a smoothie. It's like having a naked juice with some carbonation to it. And that's like the one style of beer, maybe besides like a barley wine style ale, that you wouldn't pour at this angle. Because you see here, Nick did a perfect job of pouring this up. We have roughly an inch of foam on here. Anyways, we'll let you know how it is. Cheers. And that has like a really good caramely roasted taste to it.
You can really taste the roasting of the barley in it. And like a hint of coffee a little bit.
There's definitely some coffee elements to this beer. Yeah.
Whenever you roast barley, you're always gonna get that like dark, like chocolatey coffee,
smoky flavor. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, this beer is a perfect example of a delicious brown ale. This is actually one of my favorites. Like, this beer is really freaking good. Honestly, out of the four we have, I would recommend this one 100%. Goes down like freaking milk. Tastes delicious. Cheers, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the India Pale Ale and IPA that many of you know. Nick's just going to explain a little bit more about the origin of this beer and style.
Indian Pale Ale comes from when British sailors would go to India and enable them to make sure that their beers didn't become stale or rot. They would pack their beers full of hops, and that would be like a preservative for them. And so that kind of just became a trend. So IPAs are known for their hoppiness. And you add probably like triple times the amount of hops you would into an IPA towards normal beer. And it just increases the flavor of the beer. So this is Native Brewing IPA from Colorado.
But going off of that, yeah, when they added hops to the beer, what that does is, since hops have a lot of sugar, when you add yeast to beer, the yeast eats the sugar and then produces alcohol. So when you add more hops, aka adding more sugar, that's more sugar for the yeast to eat, producing a higher alcohol content, thus creating an IPA. They're usually 6% ABV up. And the thing about that is, when you have a higher alcohol percentage beer, that means that your beer is going to be able to last longer, be stored longer. Because if you really think about it, alcohol is a disinfectant. It's a, it preserves well, it stores well, and the higher the ABV, the better it goes. I mean, you think about whiskey, anything like that, with more time, it's not like it goes bad, it gets better. But that's not true with beer. No. Anyways, the thing is, that's why IPAs have all that alcohol in them, is because of all the hops. And there's a big thing to distinguish. There's two main styles of IPAs. There's New England style IPAs, which are typically hazy. You can't really see through them. They have like a lot of, what would you say, floral and like malty flavors to it. And with West Coast IPAs, the difference,
clear.
It basically looks, this is a West Coast IPA because it's clear in color. It has a very crisp taste. It's very citrusy, as well as it just has a nice little bite to it. I'm a huge fan of West Coast IPAs.
I prefer New England's.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from Southern California, so I love West Coast. Cheers to that. Cheers, guys. Hey, what's up, guys? The beer we're about to review is Upslope Citra Pale Ale. It says right here on the pan, the flavors that you're going to be getting out of it is floral, juicy, and malty. So I'm going to pour this up for us. A little bit about pale ales. They're similar to IPAs or India Pale Ales. They just differ in the sense that they have less hops in it, and it still has like a really good floral, citrusy taste to it. It just doesn't have as pronounced as a flavor as an IPA, basically. So this is this is a lot more crushable, I'd say. You know, like sometimes IPAs can be a little heavy if you don't want like extreme hop elements, but if you just want like, you know, a well balanced beer with a little bit of hops to it, I'd say definitely get yourself a nice pale ale. This pour was decent, a little bit too much head, but still a pretty good pour. And then the process with brewing this is essentially the same with the IPA or any other beer. Honestly, there's just different variants you do when you do make beer. So like if you're gonna have a brown ale, a stout, a porter, anything like that, you're gonna have darker barleys typically. You typically roast the barley as well. And then
with these, you don't really roast them.
No.
Straight in. It's really light, just light coloration on it.
Yeah, and the thing about pale ales, IPAs, lagers, amber ales, all that stuff is, especially if you want to try and get this clear color to it, they go through, you know, extra processes to basically get it clear and, you know, don't have any extra debris in your beer. Because when you homebrew, a lot of the time you get a lot of extra debris just because that's just kind of what happens. Yeah,
a lot of like, also when you brew, when you you have to boil your beer, and there's a lot of like leftover grain sometimes in there, and there's a lot of like when you boil it, the proteins in the beer come out, and they kind of like become a dense material, like a white chunky material in it. And so usually with most beers, you just filter all that out because you don't want that in there.
Anyways, cheers, man.